Welcome back to Danielle O'Terry's Italy. Today I am talking about the perennial question that every single client asks me, and that is about packing. This is the number one thing that people obsess over, and it's one of those things that can drive you crazy, or, sometimes it can be fun if you're somebody who enjoys shopping. Almost every woman I know, whether she likes to shop or not, though, will get a bit obsessive about her Italy outfits, and I understand that completely. I also realize that I am primarily speaking to the women out there with this podcast episode, though I will address what men should wear as well. Because I travel back and forth to Italy several times a year, I have a lot of accumulated wisdom on this topic. And let me say that I'm not the most organized person in terms of things and space. So for me, simplicity is the most important thing. And really, that's going to make things infinitely easier for you too, because I would say that most people overpack. And even when I'm really careful and deliberate about what I'm going to bring, there always ends up being one or two things that I never end up wearing. And that is just precious real estate in the suitcase. Now, I'm not going to come down hard as one of those carry on only people, but I'll say this, it does make your life easier. So if you can swing it, go for it. And honestly, if you're going for no more than 2 weeks and you have anything larger than the suitcase that is just one step up from carry on only, then you're bringing too much stuff. So here is my foolproof formula for what to pack for a 10-day trip to Italy, because that's about the average time. First rule, bring less than you think you should. Second, only pack neutral colored clothes that you can mix and match. And 3, bring only 2 pairs of shoes. I know, 2 pairs of shoes. What? That's crazy. Also, do not bring a hairdryer because the hotels, apartments, Airbnbs, whatever it is, they've all got them. And if you've got crazy hair, like I do, I have a solution for you that I'll get into a little bit later in the episode. The number one mistake that women in particular make is that they bring costumes, not clothes, to Italy. And I see this every time I travel, more and more every time. In fact, it happens in Rome. I see it especially on the Amalfi Coast. Women walking by in their Italy costumes, these long printed maxi dresses, very often with lemons or big sunflowers off the shoulder. And then inevitably, they've got on big clunky sneakers underneath because I'm sure they brought some nice strappy sandals and then realized within 5 minutes it's terribly uncomfortable to walk around all day in those, especially on cobblestone streets. So listen, I understand exactly what you feel when you see that dress at Anthropology and how you feel when you try it on and how you imagine yourself wearing it on the Amalfi Coast. But seriously, put it away. Would you wear that at home? Would you wear that to walk around New York City? If the answer is no, don't bring it. Now, if you have a really fancy night out planned at a restaurant where you have a reservation, okay, then bring the lemon printed dress, go for it. But if you think that you're just generally going to be walking around like Audrey Hepburn, get the fantasy out of your head right now. And mainly because you're going to be wildly uncomfortable. And this is why I say, would you wear this to walk around New York City? Walking around Rome or Florence or Venice is a city experience and it's hot. And you know what you don't want to pack? A strapless bra, because those are horrible and miserable. And you're going to have chafage. Also, do not wear flip flops. I personally think they're disgusting, but also on cobblestones, I have seen so many people destroy their flip flops and then they're, trying to find a paper clip or a rubber band to keep them together. Italians have become much more casual in the past couple of decades, but there are two things that they really hold to. They do not wear athleisure in non-gym settings, and they don't wear flip-flops to walk around cities because they also think they're gross. They're pool slippers, and they're right. One more note on the costumes. You may see women dressed like this on Instagram and TikTok. And when you see them in a beautiful photograph, it doesn't look weird, right? It looks appropriate. But trust me, when you're in person and you see that person with way too much makeup on, posing and, trying to clear the crowd behind them to make them look like there's nobody else there, you realize how ridiculous it is. You want to keep it simple. You want to keep it cool. You don't want to deal with chafage. You don't want to deal with special underwear. Keep things simple. And for the men, also keep it simple. A polo shirt and nice shorts, not like the clunky cargo ones with the pockets flapped up. Cotton pants, keep it simple. You guys have it easy. Dress like Stanley Tucci. If you want to get even a little bit sophisticated about it, just watch his show, notice his outfits, or just Google Stanley Tucci outfits. He also keeps things very simple. Don't pack a bunch of t-shirts with your favorite sports team on them because they look kind of sloppy. And also when you're taking photographs, like you've got a beautiful background and then Buffalo Bills in the front. Sorry if you're a Bills fan. I don't care about sports, so it doesn't matter. But generally speaking, when you're looking back at your memories, if you're wearing a big overstretched t-shirt with your favorite team on the front of it, I don't know, maybe it's not the nicest. Let's get more detailed about what I mean when I say to pack light. In Rome, Florence, Venice in particular, the hotel rooms tend to be pretty small, so you've got minimal room to spread out. And if you're moving every 3 days, unpacking and repacking is a pain in the butt. Personally, I love packing cubes. Not everybody loves them, but for me, it's just really easy to identify. Okay, this is the bag with my socks. This is the one with my t-shirts. It's easy to keep your dirty laundry separate from everything else. So I like having a specific place to contain everything and keep it away from the other stuff. It also really helps when you're moving in and out of hotel rooms because you just take the packing cubes out of the suitcase and put them in the drawer. You don't actually have to unpack all of the clothes. Also, keep in mind that if you're traveling by train, you're going to have to lift your bag over your head. Now, the overhead compartments is where the bulk of the passenger luggage is stored. There are these narrow compartments near the doorways for larger pieces, but they get filled up very quickly, and then you're not sitting anywhere near your luggage. So you want to have any, laptops, jewelry, really important things with you. If you're traveling with your laptop, like I always am, because my entire livelihood relies on it, you definitely want to have some sort of a backpack or bag where it fits comfortably so that you can always keep it with you when you're on the train. Now, there have just been many times where I've had to lift a heavy suitcase over my head and there wasn't, a strong man I could bat my eyes at to help with. So traveling light really is going to just make your life much, much easier. And then every piece of clothing that finds its way into your suitcase really should be able to coordinate with at least 3 different outfits. So for a 10-day trip to Italy, ladies, you want to bring 2 pairs of cotton pants in neutral colors or linen if you prefer, a pair of jeans, but not skinny jeans if it's hot outside. There's a wide leg pair of jeans that I think is really cool and breezy. It's from a brand called Cut from the Cloth. Cut and cloth are with the letter K. Now, I've also included in the show notes a really detailed list of exactly the stuff that I bring with me. I'm not getting a kickback on any of these things, but hey, if any of the brands that I recommend are listening, you want to send me some free clothes or some money, please. I would most appreciate it, but there's no kickback going on here. These are actually the things that I recommend you travel with. Bring 5 t-shirts or tank tops or a mix of both, once again, in neutral colors. And if you're traveling in the winter, substitute those for simple sweaters and scoop necks or v-necks for variety. And these don't need to be expensive. Uniqlo, J. Crew Factory. There's a brand that I really like called AYR, which stands for all year round. It's definitely way more expensive, but I have found the quality is excellent, and everything I have purchased from them has lasted for years. Then bring 1 blouse in a print or a bright color, something, a little nicer for a night out. Bring a blazer or a cardigan. If you're traveling in August, of course, you don't necessarily need to worry about that, but sometimes you'd be surprised, especially if you're near the coast. There can be some cool breezes at night. And then bring 1 cotton scarf, also for a pop of color. Bring a pair of cotton pajamas, bras, underwear, all of that. And as for those 2 pairs of shoes, a simple pair of white trainers or cute sneakers, what they call rich mom sneakers, and then 1 pair of ballet flats or loafers, something that you can wear for a dressier night out. Bring sunglasses. You might want to bring a few extra t-shirts or tank tops if you tend to be sweaty. And then there is one thing, this indispensable white or blue collared shirt, which is honestly the most important piece of your Italy travel capsule wardrobe. This is different than a cute blouse that has a print on it for a nice night out. This is just a simple white shirt. I recommend either the same brand, AYR, or Frank and Eileen. Both are expensive, but these are excellent quality, and you can, drive your car over them and they still look good. But this white shirt can be worn open. It can be used as a beach cover-up. You can drape it over your shoulders or tie it around your waist. And when you visit the Vatican or church where you need to have your shoulders covered, you can just put it on. And sometimes if it's really hot outside, it's also just really good sunblock to have a white shirt on over a light tank top. Now, as I mentioned, I'm a jeans girl. I wear jeans all the time. But if you're not and you want to mix it up to not just have linen pants or cotton pants, and you do want to bring some dresses, I will in particular recommend this one dress from the brand Marine Layer that you can squish up, use, abuse, and it always looks good. And it's something that can be dressed up or dressed down. You can wear a dress. I'm not making fun of wearing dresses, but the idea is you want to keep it simple and practical. As for jewelry, I wear my jewelry when I travel. I don't bring tons of it, of course, but I wear the same gold jewelry that I wear at home when I travel. And that surprises people because of all the pickpocket warnings. So let me address that. YouTube really runs on clicks and on the length of time that people spend watching videos. This is how a lot of creators earn their income. And so if you're a travel content creator on YouTube, you've got to have a pickpocket video because that's the thing that sends the algorithm wild. And once you watch one, you'll be served another. And they all have an opening that is working very, very hard to scare the crap out of you. So if you're seeing these videos on TikTok or Instagram, expect your feed to now be filled with like those anti-money bags and money belts. And pretty soon you'll be dressed like you're doing delivery for Brinks. This is fear mongering. Does pickpocketing happen? Yeah, sure. Does petty theft happen in the US? Yep. So prepare yourself as you would to travel in any city. And, if you're in a big crowd, keep your hand on your bag, keep your hand on your wallet. If you're squished into an elevator at the Rome airport, I am picturing a very specific elevator right when you come out and you're trying to get to the trains, or on a water taxi in Venice. Absolutely keep an extra eye on your stuff. But the anti-slash bags and all of that, in my opinion, it's over the top. It's part of an industry that is meant to make you nervous in order to get you to spend money on something else. So just don't get carried away with it. And yeah, I wear my gold jewelry in Italy, including Rome, including Naples, and I'm really not that worried about it. Here are a couple of other things that I always have. Again, not being sponsored, but I love Bombas socks. If you want to send me socks, Bombas, go ahead. I could use some. They are pricey, but they are so well made and they last forever. And this is somebody who has a considerable sock graveyard in her life. But I actually make an extra effort to keep track of these because they are so comfortable and good. I also have one of those toiletries bags that unfolds and it hangs with a hook on the back of the bathroom door, which is very, very handy. And for makeup, I also keep things simple. I really like the brand Jones Road. It's made by Bobbi Brown. And in particular, she has this thing called Miracle Balm, and it makes you look really good. I always use the flushed shade, which just gives you like a little bit of pink, a tube of the black mascara, which is fantastic, and lipstick. And, even if you're a much bigger makeup wearer than I am, really, whatever your routine is, try to simplify it as much as possible. Also, Jones Road has a moisturizer that has just like a little bit of foundation in it. That stuff is excellent as well. I always carry a Tide pen in my purse, like one of those laundry pens, because you're always going to be eating something delicious and, a little drop of tomato sauce or gelato you can just get rid of very quickly with the Tide pen, especially when it's, freshly landed. Then there is this stuff called soak, which is good for hand washing things in the sink, and it washes out very easily. Most Italian hotels will have a heated towel rack in the bathroom, so if you need to wash stuff out the night before and hang it to dry, it's very, very easy. A big thing to keep in mind is that technically women entering churches, especially the big famous ones like St. Peter's Basilica or San Marco in Venice, they should have their knees and shoulders covered, though a lot is going to depend on the enforcement of whoever is there that day. Now, certainly if you're going to Mass at the Vatican, that's a different story. But in general, this seems to be a way to dissuade people from, wearing skimpy outfits, lots of cleavage, short shorts. I have myself gone into the Vatican in a sleeveless shirt, but it had a higher neck and I had long linen pants on. So overall, it was a more conservative looking outfit. So it's not a completely hard and fast rule, but do have a scarf handy. Don't wear short shorts on the day that you visit an important church. And, of course, it's all just respectful for the people who are there not just to see the sights, but who are praying. There is one funny thing that is the exception to the whole avoid looking like an obvious American rule, and that would be to wear a New York Yankees baseball hat. They are incredibly popular among Italians, particularly young Italians. So if you want to look like an Italian, wear a New York Yankees hat. And I'm not just saying that because I'm from New York. It's true. A few other things you'll need to bring. If you have Apple products, a laptop, an iPad, or an iPhone, you only need the plug adapter, which just changes the prongs that go into the wall. And you can buy those at the airport or on Amazon before you leave. And the voltage automatically converts. As far as health items go, bring some Band-Aids in case you get shoe bite. Bring Q-tips because I don't know why, those are sometimes hard to find. Things like Tylenol or Advil for ordinary headaches or muscle aches. It's always good to just bring whatever the products are that you like. But do know that Italy has an excellent healthcare system. So if you need medical attention, it's available. And there's almost always somebody around who speaks English. And you can usually pay in cash for any treatments that you'll receive. And they are a fraction of the price of what you're going to pay in the United States. And if you have more severe health concerns, just please purchase a higher level of trip insurance. And if you have essential medications, bring copies of your prescriptions in case you lose your pills and they need to be refilled. Now, here's one more plea to pack light. You're going to want to do some shopping. And Italian pharmacies in particular are so much fun. They have tons of beauty products and fantastic serums. They have a lot of Italian brands, but I would say in particular, the French brands are not available in the United States or at even, specialty stores like Sephora or Ulta or department stores. And those products are fantastic. They can use a higher grade of hyaluronic acid than we have here. And they also, their version of the FDA really is much more restrictive in terms of bad stuff, additives. Their products are a lot more pure. Italian pharmacists are trained on all of these things. So if you go into a pharmacy that has a skincare section, the pharmacist can, do a little bit of an evaluation and recommend products for you, really like from a medical perspective. Also, antibiotics are actually available over the counter in Italy. And if you have headaches like I do, there is something called Okitask. It's a granulated powder, and you put it in a glass of water. Now, I guess I should probably say something here. I'm not giving you medical information. I'm not a doctor, but this is just what I do. And if you've got a dehydration headache from walking around in the summer heat, that Oki task is amazing. But I am speaking as somebody who has suffered from migraines my whole life. So whenever I'm returning to the United States, I always purchase a big box of Oki task so that I have enough until I return to Italy again. So the hair situation. As earlier, I promised the women my secret for dealing with your hair, and this is it. The water in Italy is very hard, meaning it's full of minerals. And that's because the entire country of Italy, really from Sicily all the way to the Alps, is filled with hot springs. And it has so many expired as well as active volcanoes. So the water being full of minerals is really rough on your hair. And I'm used to hard water, which we have in New York, but in Italy, it is at a completely different level. So my curly hair tends to be really, really dry there. And all of the products that I use at home don't work the same way. So the way I deal with all of the bad hair days is by getting a piega. Piega. That's the word for a blowout. There are salons everywhere in Italy, in cities, in small towns, and that's because Italian women get their hair blown out all the time because it's not that expensive. Where you'd pay $60 minimum plus tip to get a blowout at a place like Dry Bar or even your locally owned salon, in Italy, depending on where you are, you can get a blowout for between 10 and 30 euros. There's a place I go to in Naples where they charge 10 euros and they do an amazing job. Also, Italian women generally don't do their roots at home because also it's not that expensive. I am somebody who has had gray hair coming in since I was 30, so I love getting my roots done in Italy. It costs between 30 and 50 euros. Then you get the blowout with that. It's called la ricrescita, the regrowth. It's a little luxury that you can throw into your trip while you're walking around. If there's a salon near your hotel, you might want to make an appointment with them, but Italian women tend to make the appointments, within just a couple of days. It's not something that they book way ahead of time unless it's a very specific salon or somebody that they go to regularly. The prices are almost always listed out in front of the salon. Those Italian hairstylists, they make my hair look better than it ever looks when I'm at home. And I like my stylist at home. He's Italian American, in fact. but they are used to wrangling hair like mine all the time. And Italian women just really do beauty so well in that natural way where they enhance what they already have. So, spending an hour or so in the middle of your day to go get a piega is a little luxury that costs not too much, and you will have fabulous looking hair during your vacation. It's much better than traveling with flat irons or curling irons, and a good blowout will last you at least 5 days if your hair doesn't run too oily. And if it does, bring some good dry shampoo. But if it's a 10-day trip, if you arrive with nice hair and get a piega midway through, you should be just fine. Now, of course, if you're going to the beach, you're going to be swimming, you're going to go in the pool every day, that's going to be a waste of time and money. But do bring products or styling products knowing that your hair will likely be drier because of the hard water, and just plan to wear it curly or in a more natural style than you would if you're used to using a flat iron or a curling iron. Thank you so much for listening to this short and sweet episode, but I hope that you found it really useful. And please share it with somebody else because this community is really starting to grow and take off. What I do here is keep all of the podcast episodes free, but I offer a deeper level of resources for people who are planning their own travels in the form of destination deep dives, which are live events that come with really in-depth notes for you that you can adapt for your travel dates, as well as a monthly Q&A for paid subscribers. So whether you want to pay or just listen for free, please do subscribe. Go to danielleoteri.com. And it helps me enormously because when I know what you want and what you need, then I know what to create. And I can continue to make these episodes better and more useful. The subscription at danielleoteri.com allows us to be in conversation so I can respond to what you actually need. Thanks again.